Let's pray. Father God, we thank you for what we've already been experiencing of you. Thank you, Lord, for the way you've been speaking into our lives here this morning. Continue to speak. Help us to hear what you want us to hear, Lord God, so we can grow in our faith and knowledge of you, so that your kingdom can be established in our lives and in your church and in this community, and you will be glorified. We ask in Jesus' holy name. Amen. Amen. Okay, so some of you will be aware that yesterday Ellen and I picked up a new car. Now this isn't a boasting thing, okay, but I just want to make a point on this. Because, this car, it's not brand new, but it's new to us. And it's got features that I've never had on a car before. Like, it's got a 6th gear. Now, I remember a time, do you remember a time when 5th gear was a luxury? Yeah. Now it's got 6 gears. Okay, it's got cruise control. I don't know how to use it yet, but it's got cruise control. It's got a working rear window wash. I've never had one of those before. I've had ones where you press the button and it sprays water into the boot, but I've never had them, or sprays the car behind. I've never had one that actually washes the back window before. It's got things that our other car never had, like suspension. And it's been quite a departure for us to go to this move. But I don't. Yeah, we can start. I could go to work tomorrow morning, and the neighbours won't know I've been. We're waking them all up with the noise and things. Anyway, but I'm just reflecting on this. We went and chose this car on Wednesday. We could have picked it up on Friday, but we chose to pick it up on Saturday. Now, when did I become this person that wasn't so excited about picking up a car that I wouldn't get it as soon as I possibly could? See, the chances were Ellen and I had a day off on Friday, and we could go out for the day. Instead of hanging around to pick up a car, we could go out for the day. We could go out and enjoy some gardens somewhere, which is what we did. And I'm thinking, when did I become this person that took an interest in gardening? Do you want to get past again, Luke? It's okay, mate. Thank you for your patience. You've heard enough. More excited about gardening than a new car. Last Sunday, as you know, I had a birthday, and I had some birthday money. And, hang on, there's a picture. So that's where Ellen and I went on Friday instead of getting the car. So I had some birthday money, got some money from my mum. She wanted to know what I bought. I bought a planter. For the garden. I don't know if my mum thought it was the wrong number when I was telling her on the phone. Which David? This is. When did I become interested in that? You see, the reason I got that is that when we moved here to East Yorkshire on my birthday that year, I'm not just talking about my birthdays all morning, there is a point to this, but Sarah came over, our daughter, and she bought me 2 Japanese maple trees, acers, and we planted them in the garden. And one did okay, and the other one just started to die. And so, was it last year or 2 years ago, we dug up the one that was dying, and we put it in a planter with the right conditions, and it's now flourishing. And it looks so healthy. In fact, this year is the healthiest it's ever looked. Meanwhile, the one that was doing okay is looking a bit sad. It's got a lot of dead branches on it, and a few leaves, and it's doing its best, but it's not happy. So now we need to rescue that one. So I've got this planter that we can take this tree out of the ground and stick in the planter, and hopefully in a few years' time it'll be just as healthy as its twin. They're not twins, they're different species, but you know what I mean. Sometimes things need to relocate to flourish. There's nothing wrong with that tree. It's just the right tree in the wrong place. Now, if you're going to fall asleep through the sermon, wake up and ponder on that. Sometimes we think, I'm the wrong person. And the Lord just says, no, you're just in the wrong place. Do you need to be relocated? We're going to start a series this morning looking at the life of Abraham. This is a guy who lived in the Middle East about 4,000 years ago. And we're going back to this, we referred to this some months ago, what's known as the Fertile Crescent. So, just departing from the microphone a bit, here is the promised land down here. There's a river Jordan, and Abraham starts off here in a place called Ur, which is nice and easy to spell, isn't it? Ur. And that's in Babylonia, and God moved him from there, following this what's called the Fertile Crescent, through and eventually into the promised land. But where we meet Abraham, first of all, in fact he's not even called Abraham, he's called Abram, because God changes his name later. So many changes coming. When we first meet him, he's starting to make this journey from Ur, and he's up in a place called Haran. Okay, so there we go. So we're going to be reading from Genesis chapter 12 and the first 9 verses. And it says this: The Lord said to Abram, "Leave your country, your family and your relatives, and go to the land that I will show you. I will bless you and make your descendants into a great nation. You will become famous and be a blessing to others. I will bless anyone who blesses you, but I will put a curse on anyone who puts a curse on you. Everyone on earth will be blessed because of you." Now that makes it important, doesn't it? Our blessing depends on Abraham doing the right thing. Everyone on earth will be blessed if he does this. So Abraham was a nipper at 75 years old. When the Lord told him to leave the city of Haran, he obeyed and left with his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all the possessions and slaves they had gotten while in Haran. When they came to the land of Canaan, Abraham went as far as the sacred tree of Moreh in a place called Shechem. The Canaanites were still living in the land at that time, but the Lord appeared to Abraham and promised, "I will give this land to your family forever." Abraham then built an altar there for the Lord. Abraham travelled to the hill country east of Bethel and camped. To the hill country east of Bethel and camped between Bethel and Ai, or artificial intelligence. I'm not quite sure what that one is. Where he built another altar and worshipped the Lord. Later, Abraham started out towards the southern desert. What this is all about is living a fruitful life. Living a life that has purpose and meaning. Society tells us a meaningful life is all about satisfying yourself. Being as happy as you possibly can, being as rich as you possibly can, going on as many holidays as you possibly can, being as slim as you possibly can, being as tanned, healthy, whatever it is. There's all these images and all these things that society tells us will give us meaningful lives. The Lord made us to be in partnership with Him. The true meaning is living lives that honour and glorify Him. We've used the definition before for being fruitful, and it's this: to have a positive impact on others for the sake of Jesus and the building of His kingdom. Having a positive impact on those around about us. That's when your life becomes fruitful. It honours God, the kingdom is built. Why? Because you are having a positive impact on the people that you encounter. The people that you live with, the people you live next door to, the people that you work with, the people that you play golf with, the people that you share coffee with, the people that you encounter at the checkout in the supermarket, whatever it is, you're having a positive impact on others. Now, in your lifetime experience, you've probably encountered people who've had a negative impact on you. You know, those people that sort of drain you, those people that wind you up, those people that agitate you, those people that put you down in some way. We want to be the people that lift others up. The people that others are glad to see. The people that carry the peace and the presence of God into their situation. The people that when we turn up, they go, instead of, so we want to be people, not people. Have you got that?
Yeah.
How can we do that? When we encounter Abram, first of all, he's living in barren ground. Barren ground means there's no sign of life. How can you grow fruit if there's not even a green shoot? What do we mean by barren ground? Because he's living in this metropolis of Haran. It's a bustling centre, right in the Fertile Crescent. It's the place where things are happening. Well, first of all, he's barren because he's too old. He's 75 years old. Now, if you're 75, you're not too old, okay? I'm catching up. But it's not too old. But it's too old for Abraham to have any children. He and his wife, Sarai, they tried, they haven't had any children. There's been no blessing on their life. "75 years old. By the way, for Abraham, he's still got a good 100 years left. Okay, at this point, he's got a good 100 years to go. Now, he might think his life is drawing to the end. I reckon I've got another 50 years in me, and that's what I keep counting on. Alright, so, but it's God who determines our days, and he sets the time for harvest. It's never too late to have a good impact on others. You may have been a person all your life up to this point. It's not too late for God to change you, to transform you, so that you become a person. Abraham and Sarah were barren. They had no offspring. And it's looking less and less likely as time goes on. As far as society was concerned, as far as the laws of biology were concerned, they were past it. And God says, I'm going to bless you and your descendants. And Abraham's thinking, have you got the right Abram? Because I haven't got any descendants. And it's too late now. In fact, later when God tells Sarah that she's going to have a child within a year, she laughs because she's so old. She laughs. So what can Abraham do? Well, he thinks, well, maybe I need to invest in my nephew called Lot. He pins all his hopes on Lot. He's not going to have a descendant himself, so he sort of adopts his nephew Lot. And he's thinking, well, this is the best that I can do. And Lot's thinking, well, I struck lucky here because Uncle Abraham is really rich and one day it's all going to be mine. That's not what God promised Abraham. He didn't say you will be a blessing to your nephew. He said your family will be blessed, your descendants will be blessed. How is that going to happen? Well, God has to move Abraham from barren ground to fertile ground. And for you, you need to be prepared, because I feel that God wants to shift you and me. As a church community, he's already shifted us. But he's going to continue shifting us. And we want him to be the wind in our sails, don't we? Even in the storm, we want to be driven where he wants to take us. We want to be those people. Now that shift, how is it going to work? Now it might be a physical shift. For Abraham, he had to physically move. He had to travel hundreds of miles to a place he'd never known, which was going against the grain. The big trend 4,000 years ago was to settle in houses, in buildings, in cities. It was the real thing. Up and coming people did that. You stayed in a city. And Abraham was going to leave that all behind and live in a tent in the middle of nowhere. Sometimes God has to relocate you physically. It might mean moving house. It might mean changing jobs. It might mean, I don't know how that will be for you. When I used to teach in college, I used to tell students at the beginning of the year, new classes, I used to say, if you find yourself in a, when you've got assignments to do and things like that, and you talk to your colleagues and you say, have you done your work yet? And they say no. And you'll think, that's okay, so I haven't done mine yet. Now there'll be other people in the class, you'll say to them, have you done your assignment? And they said, yeah, I did it last week. And you'll think, better get on with it. If you're in a group of people that are going, no, I haven't done it yet, you'll think, oh, that's okay. You're in the wrong group. And you might need to relocate and start sitting with the people who say, I've got my work done. Have you done your work yet? Yes, I've done it. So that will get you better results. Physically relocating. Sometimes you've got to change the society that you're in. Because it might be a social relocation. Bad relationships, bad influences. If people are bringing you down, you're in the wrong place. You may need to shift. It could be a spiritual relocation. Saul, very famously in the Bible, had a conversion experience. God knocked him off his horse, shut his eyes, showed him the light, brought him to his senses. Complete change. Maybe that's happened for you as well. But sometimes even those who've had a spiritual encounter years ago and have been going on with the Lord, sometimes there still comes a point where we need to move spiritually and open our minds to new things. It could be a shift mentally. Anyone had a mental shift? Sometimes you need to change your thinking. Have a new mindset, a new understanding, a new recognition of things. Instead of being the people who think, I can never do anything, I always do everything wrong, maybe you need to start changing your thinking to, the Lord can do anything through me. How did Abraham make this shift? Two things. He trusted God's promise. He trusted a God who made himself known. He left all he knew behind. He set off to travel to an unknown place. That's a step of faith, isn't it? He hasn't got pictures on his phone of what the Canaan looks like. He can't look it up on TripAdvisor. He can't see, what the weather's going to be like. He's just going to a place he's not even heard of, and God's saying, I want you to go. Will you trust me? What's it like? God says, I'll be there. Is that good enough for you? In that journey, taking that step of faith, he learned more about God and his promises as his journey of faith continued. Sometimes we want all the evidence first. We want God to prove himself. We want him to show us. We want to know step by step. I'm going to do this, and then next year this will happen, and then 3 months later this will happen. Oh, great Lord, I'm in. And God says, no, just take the step. Take that first step. You're not going to get to Canaan in one day. It's going to be a journey. You're going to take that step. He was prepared to trust God and go, and he was prepared to keep going. Now that's important. Hands up if you've heard of Terah. A person called Terah. Hands up if you've heard of Abraham. A person called Abraham. Now a few people have heard of Terah. This is a bit of a backstory here. Who was Terah? He was Abraham's father. Terah left in Babylonia and got as far as Haran. He took Abraham with him. He took all his family with him. They started making that move. They got as far as Haran, and then Terah settled there. He settled for less than the best. He'd already moved from one city to another city and stayed. Abraham left the city and kept going and reached the destination. Let's not give up halfway. When Terah left, He tried to take everything he had with him, all his family, all his possessions. Abraham left everything behind, pretty much, comparatively. He left things behind to get to where God wanted him to be. The result of that was he had a fruitful life that was blessed and was a source of blessing to others. Isn't that what you want? A life that is blessed and is a blessing to others. Would you like to be more fruitful? Is that what you want your life to be? Would you like to be a blessing to others? This verse in Jeremiah chapter 17 says this: "Blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. They will be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream. Does not fear when heat comes, its leaves are always green, has no worries in a year of drought, and never fails to bear fruit." This afternoon, the sun's shining. I'm hoping to be able to get that, with Ellen's help, she's the gardener, to get that maple tree out of the ground and get it in that planter for its good, so it can become fruitful, it can flourish. Are you prepared to move, to allow God to shift you so that you can be fruitful and a blessing to others? Let's read these words together. Blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. They will be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when heat comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in a year of drought and never fails to bear fruit. Amen.